Okay, so now we have our form working, our settings on this side. I don't know if you noticed just now when I try to add a decimal number in these fields here, settings. I clicked on update settings, we're getting this error, and we really want to be able to add decimal settings. The way you can fix that is actually by adding a step attribute into your input type that's a number. So if you say step 01, something like this, SMS cost settings, step, so it's a number, and I add step 0.1, and I refresh that, so now I can add 2.25, and then I can say update settings, so that's much better. Okay, so what we want to do next is we want to work on our bull type. So what I want to do now is I want to be able to click on add. So first select the type of the bull and then click add, and then SMS here, and then the same thing, and then I should add to our totals. But currently, as you can see, nothing happens when I click the add button. Okay, so why is that again? Okay, so there's no form here. There's no form around add, and we need to see. So the root we need to use, if we go back here, is going to be the root. So we go back to our project. Okay, there's settings bull. So the root that we want to use is going to be the action root. Okay, so the action root is going to capture the values that we select in the form. So what I need to do now is I need to go up. Okay, so it's this code here, this bull type code. So what I want to do here is I want to just cut that. So I say form. Okay, I put that, and I put this in here. I format my code a bit better now, format the document, and then I want to say here it's action, and then the type is going to be the method. Okay, the method is going to be post. Okay, so now we do that. So now I have a form. So as you will see now, if I'm going to Control Z here, click on add now. Anything happening? Let's see, let's remove our half-baked root. Okay, again, the same problem as before. Our type is button. It shouldn't be button, it should be submit. Okay, so if I'm going to refresh now, click there, click on the button. You see now it's doing something. Again, like in the past, the root that we created does nothing. Okay, it just sits here. So the action root does nothing. So if I take it out like that, I refresh, so I go back to my previous screen, refresh, so nothing happens. Now the root ain't there, so nothing happens. So now what we do want to do is we want to put that back, and we want to do the same thing. We want to redirect back to our home root or default root once we are done. But before we do that, we need to do something. So what we need to do here is capture the call type to add. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to get that from our form. So if I go back to here, so I look in my form. So currently my radio button is here. The class, you see my radio button has no name. Okay, none of them's got no name. Okay, so I need to say name here. I need to say action type. Okay, to do that, and then I also need to give this one the same name, because if I don't, the two radio buttons doesn't work together. So if I go here, currently I'm doing this, clicking there, that works fine. If, for instance, the one's got if they have different names, for instance, if I call the one action types, if I click here and here, you see, okay, Control R, go click here, working differently. Okay, that's not what I wanted to show you. Control S, Control R, go here, Control here. Okay, anyway, so they might just make sure they've got the same name if you want to get values out of them. Control Z, action type. Okay, so in this case I have action type. Okay, so now we can actually capture those values when we are running our app. So let's see what happens in our form. So if I run this, now I'm going to go to my root. I'm going to do console.log request.body.action type. I'm going to go there now, refresh this, click on call, click on add, so it refresh comes back. Let's see what happens. Because the action type is currently undefined. Okay, action type is undefined. So let's just see, where are we? Main.handlebars. Name is action type. Post action. Okay, so let's give them a value. Okay, value. So the value for the first one should be call. The value for the second one should be SMS. Okay, so let's see, Control R. So now if I type call, I press on the button, still undefined. Okay, so what's wrong now? Let's see. Control Shift I, go in here, call, form action, label, radio, value SMS. Okay, so you see I already have a name. Okay, build type of settings. Okay, so my 4 fields already had a name. Okay, so I can't have 2 names. Control D, I'm gonna, build type of settings is very long. Okay, so I'm gonna do name here, name here. Okay, now it's action type. Control R, let's see, call. We run it now, so I'm getting call. If I do SMS, I'm getting SMS. Okay, so that's much better. Okay, so now the thing I wanted to show you earlier will work. So if, for instance, they had different names, okay, I called this one action types, and the other one action type, refresh that, then if I click these 2 radio buttons, this will happen, which is not what we want. We want to make sure they both got the same name so they can work as a team together. Okay, so now we have this, and then now what we want to do, we want to start sending this into our factory function. So if I refresh this, if I click call, then I want that to go into my factory function. So let's see. So my factory function, what I currently have is, what is it, bull settings, what's it called, bull settings, bull dot, and then I have this one, record action, which I have here. So now I want this action to go into my factory function. Control X. Okay, and then I would like to start using those values and start to get them onto the screen. So let's see, if I do this, I can do Control R, I refresh this, click here, build type add, nothing happens currently. You can see these values down here, nothing. Okay, so what I actually want to do now is I want to change my template so that I can get some values to go on there. So I need to change my, currently I only have settings on my home root. So what I want to do now is I want to have totals, and then I want to go to my settings bull dot totals. Okay, so I want to send that to the screen. So let's just look in our settings bull. Okay, Control P, settings bull. Okay, so going in there we have our totals. So we've got SMS total, call total, and grand total. So we want to display those on the screen now. So to do that, what we need to do is to change, our screen is a mess now. We need to change our template. Okay, so here, where we get our totals. So here, this one is going to be the SMS total. So now I need to say totals dot SMS total. Okay. And then what we also want to do, I'm going to copy this just to make it easier. I want to make this one settings. So this one is a settings dot call total, and here we want totals dot, and here I want grand total. Okay. So now if all went well now, we should start seeing totals on the screen. So again, it's all 0 now. If I'm doing a call, okay, nan, okay, so having a problem with not a number, okay. So let's see why that would be. So somewhere now in my code I'm getting not a number. So the way to look into that now would be to start, the best way to do that would be to start my app in debug mode. Okay, so I'll stop this now. So now I go Control Shift. Okay, now I want to go here, I want to click here. I want to make sure launch my app here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is when I'm doing record action, put a breakpoint here. I'm going to say refresh. I'm going to say here call. Let's click there. It breaks here. So now I step into this record action. So now my cost is 0. So now I go in here, go in here. So now I want to record an action here. Okay, we want to say the call cost is undefined. Okay, action dot call cost. Okay, so what is call cost here? Action. Okay, if action is call. Okay, okay, this is me being a bit stupid. Okay, so what we haven't done is I can't press this button before I haven't set my cost. Okay, so we need to go 2.75, 2.75. Okay, let me just go back. Let's just say 2, 3. Warning level here is 20, and here we have 40. Okay, so we update our settings. Okay, so what we can do now is we can click on call, and now we can click on SMS. It will add that on. Click call again, it will keep adding. And if we up the call cost, let's make this 5. Update the settings. Click call here. Go 9. Okay, so that's working now. So we just need to remember to add our settings on this side. So now we have our post route working here. So the other thing now we want to look at is these routes over here. So let's do the easiest one of the lot. So if we go back to our routes, the route we need is action. So action route is a route that will just display all the actions that's been made. And for now, let's just display the type and the timestamp, and the price basically. Okay, so let's go for that. We need to create a new template. So what I will do is I'm going to go in here into my views folder, and then I'll create a new file which I'm going to call actions. Okay, actions here dot handlebars. Okay, so we do that. I'm going to do H1 here, and I'm going to say actions. And now what we want to create a table, and then we want to create a table header, and then we want to actually put table data in there. So we're going to say first one is going to be type TD, the next one is going to be price, and the next one is going to be, let's call it when, so that's a timestamp. So let's just see what happens. So if we put this in our route, so what we want to do now is we want to create a new route. We already have an actions route, so now we're just going to say res.render. What is our template called? It's called actions. So now what we want to do, make sure in our index.html, when we are clicking on that link, so where's that link? The link is over here, actions. We already have actions, so let's see if it's using that reception. Okay, Control R. So if we click here on total, okay, see, so now it is actually using type when. Yeah, so the interesting thing now that to note is that when we do this, there's no styling here. So the main problem here is the fact that our styling is currently sitting in the wrong place. So let's change that. So what we actually want to do, when currently inside of index.html, we've got all our styling sitting there, which is kind of actually fundamentally wrong. So what we want to do is we want to copy all of this into our layouts. And this is what layouts is actually for. It makes it easy for us to share a layout between multiple files. So what we want to do now is I pasted this in here, and I want to make sure that, so where does this row end? Okay, so that's a one that contains all of them. What div is this? Let's see, div container. Okay, so what I want to do, I want a container. I want to make sure that the container is in here. I want to cut all this code that I have, and then I want to do this, and then I want to say, okay, this is the body. Okay, and then, so you can see now, this is just all about styling and everything, header and everything. So what I want to do now is I want to put this back into index. Okay, I'm going to Control V, Control V. Okay, so let's paste, format this better. So as you can see now, index.8 handlebars contains the bill with settings. So what we actually want to do for now is, I'm going to go back here. So now what we need to do, we need to make sure that in our actions we have a row. We want the row to be on top. Then we want to close the class here at the bottom. Okay, we do that, and then we format the document. Okay, so now let's see if I refresh. You see now it's actually using the styling from skeleton. So it's much better, but as you can see there's no actions here yet. So what we want to do is we want to add a table row. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to be able to loop over the actions. So for each action, let's just call it action, each actions. Okay, and then I'm going to close this. I'm going to say each here, and then we want to create a table row for each entry. Okay, and then we're going to say TD for each action. First of all, we want to display the type, and then we also want to display the price, and we want to display the timestamp. Okay, so we have this now. If I refresh now, if I click on this link now, you'll see there's nothing there yet because we're not looping over anything. So when I'm rendering my so if I go back here, if we do res.render actions, we're not sending anything in. So what we need to do now is we need to go to we need to send actions in there. So let me do settings bill dot. So, and there we have actions. So that's a function that returns all the actions in the database or in our settings bill factory functions. If I refresh now, let's see, so there's nothing now. So we haven't added anything. We've restarted a few times, so there's no data. The important thing now is to set the call cost to 3, set the warning level to 20, 40. Okay? So now I update the settings here. I do the call, so the values are going up. SMS, we do on totals. See, so now we are getting some values here. The one thing you'll note, we're not getting the price, which we need to look into, but you can see that we are getting the timestamps onto the screen. So let's see what happened to the price. So in the factory function, when we all put things into the bill, we are calling it, what are we calling it? So it's cost, okay, not price. So in here, we need to call it cost, okay. So refresh that, go into it. So now we are getting our values onto the screen. So there is some other misconfiguration on our template. So we've got TR, okay, so I think it's wrong. The wrong thing is here. This should be TR, okay, Control Z. This should be TR, okay, I made a mistake here. And then my headings, each one of them is going to be TH. Control S, go back here, refresh. Okay, so that looks much better. So now I can see that at a specific time I had a cost, and I can also see the price here. So let's go back. So currently what I can't see is if I click on SMS total, See, nothing happens. If I click on call cost, nothing happens either. So we need to see, okay, how are we going to fix that? So to do that, if we go back here, the routes we need for that is this special route, this dynamic route. So this route takes a parameter. So we need two routes. Actually, we need one for SMS and one for calls. But instead of doing that, we're going to actually create one route that we can send into either call or SMS. So how do we do that? So what we do for now, let's go into our settings bill. So what we want to do now, where's our index? Control P index.js. So if we go in here, so we're going to go into this. So we can do the same thing here. So for now, let's just render the same thing that we render for the settings bill. So let's go in and we refresh that. So what I'm going in now, so if I'm going to click on call total, okay, see I'm actually getting it. Okay, let me just set a price, 2, 4, 20 and 40. Update the settings. I call something here, call something else. Click on total, so that's working. So now clicking on call totals. Okay, so there's something wrong here with this route. Okay, so that problem that we're seeing is a path issue in our layout in main.handlebar. So the main thing here, we need to make sure that the CSS comes from the root. Otherwise, it will be a relative path. It will be a fixed path. Okay, refresh. Still the same values on the screen. SMS total is working and call total. But as you can see now, it's displaying all the data on the screen. What we want to do instead of doing that, we only want to display specific data for call or SMS. So what we can do here, instead of actually using actions, we have in our factory function a method called actions for, okay? And that's either determining the type of the action. So what we can do now is action type, and I can get the action type from the URL. And now I can say type. So this type here comes from that variable there, and we can send anything in from the outside. So in this case, I'm going to do action type. Okay, and to be a bit clearer, I think what we should do is change this type to action type. Okay, so and then that action type we need to instantiate into this, and then we send it in. So let's see what's happening now. So okay, now most certainly our values will be gone. So now our call costs will be, let's add that in before I make some terrible mistake again, 20, 40, update the settings. So now I do call, I do SMS, I do another call, and I do another SMS. Okay, so now if I click on total, I can see the totals. And if I click on SMS, I'm only seeing the SMSs. If I'm clicking on call, okay, for some reason I'm not seeing the calls. Okay, so that's interesting. Call type. So there's a problem there. SMSs work, but for some reason my call type doesn't work. Okay, so the main problem here is I can see, if I click here, you can see this call there. Okay, calls. If I actually change that to call, you see I'll see the calls. So the URL that we used there was wrong. So you can see this route is dynamic, that I can type in calls, it doesn't find anything. If I type in SMS, I find anything. If we were later to add something called data, then it would actually find data for us. But let's fix this. So we go into our root, into index.html. So where is that root? So we go here, SMS, we go calls, we go call here. Control R. Okay, so go back, just delete all of this. And we refresh, and then we click on call. Okay, now it's working. We click on SMS, that's working. And now we're clicking on total, and that's all working. Okay, so now I've got a basic app that's working. There's just one small few outstanding things, maybe a bit of formatting to add, and also the last thing we need to actually, we will want to have a nice message here to say how long ago this happened in words, but we'll do that in the next video.